I'm gonna go ahead and get started here, and we've got, like I said, we've got the High Elf Assassin. This is, well, I wrote down, I wrote down in the Twitch description that it's game number 11, but that might not be accurate. Streak, Malcolm Rose. I think it's 11. I can kill this troll while we're waiting for meme to come up. Yeah, 37 consecutive wins, that's my old streak. This new one is you've won your last 10 games. So, this is in fact number 11. Now what was I doing though? I gotta remember what I was doing. We've got no runes at all. I guess I did Orc and Lair. Kind of an interesting spot to be in, since if we really wanted to try, we could use LRD in Elf, although it's a little less powerful than we're used to it being, since we'll actually break the walls and it'll be a little bit annoying to kill the elves with it. It's not going to be like bad or anything, just a little less good. Let's memorize Lightning Spire though. In fact, I should probably train a little bit of summons in air, to be honest. Is this high elf dummy thick, and the clap of his ass cheeks alerting the monsters? That is just lewd envy. An assin, so double the ass. Maybe. Well, see, the thing is, he's too lazy to lift, right? So instead, he learned statue form so he could get like rock hard abs and glutes. That was his whole purpose for going into the dungeon, really. In fact, that's just the roleplay reason for all my characters going into the dungeon. No, actually, I haven't heard about that. That sounds funny. Wow, what am I doing? Let's go stat form. Let's pull this dude up. Can I fight spiders? I don't know, man. The thing is, we want to watch out for the spell hunger on stat form. So it came from a snake being pretty thick, so someone made a meme, and then the VA for snake, the voice actor for Solid Snake did the line, and it spread like wildfire. Is Snake thick? I thought he was kind of, I don't know. I didn't think he was all that swole. More of a trim kind of guy. Okay, we're killing with Stone Arrow, which is actually okay in here, believe it or not. I want to get Lightning Spire online because it's just outrageous. You know, I'm going to admit something to you guys. Other than the original, I think it was NES Metal Gear, the only Metal Gear I ever played was the original PlayStation one. So that's true. You do need strong glutes to be a soldier. Believe it or not, your glutes are hugely important if you want to be overall strong. Do a bunch of squats, you know. It's kind of funny that they got the voice actor to do that. You know, I mean, that's pretty good. Let's pull this dude up. You know what? I can just go staff form and radiate this guy. He's misshapen and mutated. I should be able to melee him to death. Yeah, and I do. Do I have Synv by any chance? Yeah, I do. And I have the ability to go invisible through a couple of different means. So if ghost moths show up, we're not in a big, we're not in a ton of trouble. Let's go stat form so we're immune to the paralysis. I should probably worry less about my food, to be honest. Alright, Envy, I'll check that out here in a minute. Once the stream is over. That sounds pretty funny. Oh, went down to 12 hit points there. Probably shouldn't have done that. It's just poison, though. You know what I'd really like is a Staff of Earth. I suppose I could wear this Staff of Energy and use that to go stat form Hungerless, but it's almost like who cares, you know? Wand of Confusion, we don't need that. Remember, this is an old version, so we're going to run into a few cute little items that don't exist anymore. Streamlining the wand system. You know, I'm not a huge fan of the fact that like heal and haste and teleport wands are gone. However, things like lightning wand and confusion and slow, those really were just, well, in computer science we call it cruft, which is just like a kind of a word for bloat, I guess, you know, just like garbage, stuff you don't need. Because it's like paralysis, enslave, confuse, and slow all kind of cover the same use case, which is like targeting the enemy's magic resistance. So I can totally get behind the fact that those were removed. Do I have any spells that I could be using as my bread and butter right now with the energy staff? You know, I actually do. Sort of. It's very awkward using old style LRD. As I was saying the last time I played this, like, I have to be a little careful not to hit myself, although there's like no way to guarantee not hitting yourself if something's next to you. It also makes it awkward if you want to use the old trick, or I should say the somewhat new trick of like putting up a lightning spire and then LRDing your enemies from behind it. It's just a little bit awkward. Because obviously you don't want to hit your own spire, right? Okay, let's just go for the rune, honestly. I mean, there's nothing really stopping us from going for it. It's curious, there's a Tyrant Leech here. Ooh, this must be a removed vault. I don't recognize this. Okay, short detour. Let's grab the Staff of Energy. We're gonna try to kill things with LRD. If I can get through this pack that's coming for me. Alright. This will have the added benefit of, well, we can evoke it to get mana back if we're so inclined. Okay. So normally, ordinarily, this has a spell hunger of a few pips still, but now it doesn't. So to be honest, I don't even really need to train spellcasting anymore. Also, I should try to keep our missile up. I keep forgetting to put that back up. Let's see, Lightning Spire is down to 8%. So now we can do this. We can spam that without a problem. Oh, there's a ghost moth. Okay, we'll go up. We will irradiate, and then we'll just punch him to death. Easy enough, right? A different character, you know, who was also trying to be a big boy caster, would have had some serious issues with the ghost moth. But we have the right combination of tools required to basically trivialize it. There is our first entropy weaver. But we just punch him to death. Problem solved. I see that Lightning Spire is down to 40%, or 4% rather. Air Magic we could still use a little more of. Eventually we're going to find deflect missiles, and we're going to want to use that probably. But I think we'll just take that to like 7 and then leave it alone. I do not have my staff on. Oops. So we're actually, funnily enough, we are almost forbearing the use of stat form, just because my unarmed combat honestly isn't that great. It's only 7.5. You know, so as much as I love to use staff form, this dude is just kind of enjoying the staff of energy instead. And if I have like a really big problem where, you know, I want to be beefy, I can always go staff form. But this is actually more, I'd say a little more convenient. Oops. Oh, whoops, I'm out of mana. It's not good. I just need to get stat form. There we go. Yeah, even in stat form I have trouble fighting something as simple as a wolf spider. Not great, you know. Later we can be a powerhouse, but we're just not quite there yet. Demonic crawlers don't care very much about LRD, their AC seems to be quite nice. But they do care about irradiate, which, by the way, if you look at misshapen and mutated, which is the effect that the enemies get from irradiate, it does cut down their AC. So if you can find a monster that has high AC and then irradiate it, that's kind of insult to injury, you know. Great, great spell. Okay, we got instantly confused. That's the value right there. Pretty much, yeah, man. Okay, I kind of forgot that I had LRD available. Look at this. Look at this, a free-range ghost. And he's been given this the Shield of Resistance tile. Doesn't affect the ghost at all, but that's awesome, you know. So let's see what this free-range ghost actually has. He's just a big warrior. I'm going to assume he can do 50 damage. How do we want to kill his ass? Do we have the ability to kill him? Probably. Maybe. Well, let's open up with LRDs on his friends. Okay, we miscast staff. I might just use the lamp, why not? So you can still do this, you know, LRD as things approach from behind a spire. It works out pretty well. It's not bad. Feels a little strange to be playing 0.19 just with the changes and whatnot since then. Having a rechargeable Wand of Haste is outrageous, outrageously powerful. Oh shit. Yeah, let's not take that risk. Let's go stab for him. Getting paralyzed there could have killed us, actually. Whoops. Easy to forget that I'm a fragile little high elf, you know, with only dodging really as my defense if I get paralyzed. Okay, Dig is a very rechargeable and common resource in this version of the game, so we just dug through and got to the hatch after fearing those dudes. I kind of wasted a fear there. I could have probably petrified the Hornet instead, but that's okay. Okay, let's stop training air magic. I've actually overtrained it. Very easy to do in this version of the game because there's unfortunately no skill training targets, but that's okay. What are we going to do about our friend here? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find out if I can irradiate him. No, I can't. Well, I can damage him that way, but... Is he resistant to electricity? No, he's not. Okay, we blink. Box of beast, box of beast, box of beast. I guess I actually need some more evocations. But my boxes, my boxes from the beasts, or the beasts from the boxes rather, dealt with the problem for me, and we only used one box for it, so that's completely worth it. Free range ghosts are pretty obnoxious, pretty hard to kill. Well, ghosts in general are pretty hard to kill, but because they're free range, it's kind of hard to ignore them. Bro, holy shit! Look at that chainmail. I've never seen such a chainmail. Plus 14. Ordinarily could only be enchanted to like plus 8. That's, that is silly. Chainmail of love and death. RC++, MR+, regen, plus int -5, dex +4. It's quite nice. Makes us completely unable to cast our spells, so we're not going to use it, but that's pretty insane, actually. Wow. Wish I'd found that earlier in the game. We could have turned this character into quite a warrior with that. Wow. Okay, stuff is definitely spawning. I had to sort of wonder when I first started this run, you know, about this version, and if things could spawn after the floor had been generated. I'm convinced without even looking it up that that is the case. Man, Irradiate's actually really, really good. In Spider, in particular. I don't know if I've ever relied on it to this extent, but it is quite nice. How much gold do we have? 3,500. I might be buying a food shop soon. This is one of those vaguely wide open floors, you know, that you really have to be worried about on most characters. It's not so bad for this dude. He's got statue form to fall back on if he really needs AC, and he's got Irradiate to fall back on if dudes are around him and he just really wants to do a ton of damage really, really quickly. But I mean, like you just saw a second ago, there's a Moth of Wrath, right? It's not altogether uncommon on spider floors in just about any version of the game, any remotely modern version of the game. And so that means you really got to watch out, because it doesn't take much to get you killed. When there's a Moth of Wrath. It's like a real force multiplier, you know. here we are. We got zerked. Check it out. This is a version of the game where I actually cannot even change my weapon out while I'm zerked. Once upon a time, you couldn't do that. Actually, that's a relatively recent change to the game. So it was much more dangerous to be berserked back here, you know, because I have like a Staff of Energy on and I have no staves trained for one, and for two, even if I did, well, a Staff of Energy is not exactly the greatest thing to have equipped. So, okay, that's a Guardian Spirit amulet. We don't want that. We can drop this Staff of Cold because we're getting RC from this buckler. Just beat things with the staff. Well, it's funny you should say that because it can be fun. Show them the fear of the shaft. I do that every day of my life. No, like the thing is that staves of energy are bad for this, but things like the Staff of Death and the Staff of Earth, like all the elemental ones, all the ones that are like a representative of a school of magic, Staff of Cold, Fire, whatever, they effectively have a brand on them, which you know, does extra fire or negative or whatever damage based on what your skill is in both that spell school and evocations, which seems bad at first because, well, you don't typically, you know, you might think like, well, why do I want to train all this stuff? You know, the spell school, the evocations, and also I want to train the weapon skill for staves. But in particular for Staff of Death, it's actually not half bad because, you know, it effectively it's pain brand, which does a ton of damage. I mean, even without training the weapon itself, you'll still get the trigger, which is not terrible. But unfortunately, Staff of Energy doesn't have any kind of brand like that. Okay, this is let's end our transformation. This is actually quite dangerous because of the fact that there's two of these dudes and they can do like 100 damage a pop. On my recent Null Wizard runs, I've been impressed by how much I can melee shit with a staff. Yeah, well, especially with a Null, it's almost a no-brainer to use it because it's like you're training all that stuff anyway. You know, and to be honest, evocations is so good to have that you should be training it on almost any character, alongside, of course, the spell school that you're most interested in. It's the staff training where that really trips me up and makes me not want to do it. But yeah, on a Null, you know, there's no reason not to, really. And you can just sort of tab to mop up popcorn, so to speak, you know, like the easy monsters. Works out really well. And your defenses are probably not half bad on a Null. I mean, I have to say, playing a Null, it's the most fun way to play this game, just by far. Gotta watch out for the Moth of Wrath. Fighting a berserked redback is not going to be a whole lot of fun on this character. Uh-oh. Evoke. Okay, stat form. In stat form, we're immune to the poison. We were actually very badly poisoned. I guess our water elemental is actually cleaning this stuff up all on his own. Although this jumping spider's giving me a run for my money. Right, there we go. Okay, we're going to use 3 irradiates, and in this version of the game, you really don't want to do more than 3 irradiates. Okay, I'm trying to keep statue form up while I rest so that the poison goes away. Because even though I'm immune to the poison, I think it ticks down. Actually, maybe it doesn't. Oh well. Okay, there's our third irradiate. Now, unfortunately, our friend got quite a bit of corrosion on me before I was able to finish him off. Just make some snakes in case I need to back off, and then we'll just swing and use Stone Arrow to finish off some of them. A lot of dungeon crawl is about sort of preemptively solving problems like that. You know, like I knew that that could go badly, and that there was a pretty reasonable chance of it going badly. So, you know, I made snakes preemptively, you know. All right, I'm going to make a food shop, but as I've done this, I see that there is a scroll shop available. Let's get that instead. There could have been... well, scroll shops were deeply, deeply, deeply amazing in this version of the game. They still are, because there could be like acquirement or something in there, and you could recoup the investment on your shop by getting gold. But in this version of the game, there's scrolls of recharge. So as you can imagine, being able to recharge like a haste wand as many times as you want is kind of, I'll be honest, it's outrageously strong. So, I mean, yeah, it's okay. I'll take that. Do I want scrolls of silence? I probably do. Okay, now we'll call another merchant, and this time we'll actually get food. Need to drop some stuff still. I forgot how annoying inventory management used to be. I guess we drop Cure Mutation, which is another thing that doesn't exist anymore. I feel like a lot of the changes over the course of the years have been almost laser focused towards dealing with inventory management. Hey, what's up, Alf? How you doing, man? But like, I wonder if the better way to go about solving that problem would have just been to add like bags to the game, you know. All right, check this out. Beneficial mutation. This is another thing that used to exist but doesn't anymore. We drink it, and we get a quote-unquote good mutation. Although that mutation is not necessarily good. It's just considered good by the game. Like this one is both bad and good. It makes my spells harder to cast, but gives them more spell power. Now, for this character, that's probably pretty good. But for a different character, it might be not so good. In fact, this is forcing me to train a little more Earth and transmutations because, well, that's yellow now, and that means it could just miscast and mutate me, or miscast and petrify me, which is not so good. A few long days at work overall, not too shabby though. Well, you know, you're getting paid, right? So, seems worth it. Actually, I don't know if I've asked what it is that you do. I know you mentioned I think you mentioned being stuck in a meeting the other day. Am I remembering that wrong? Oh man. Okay, petrifying him. Yeah, meetings are the worst. Well, meetings are okay if they're being done with, you know, people who are focused on getting work done. But unfortunately, to a large degree, every meeting I've ever been stuck in has been more of a like bureaucracy kind of kind of thing, you know. This guy just doesn't want to die. This is the problem. This is the problem with spark wasps, you know. You think that they're just going to go down if you have RLEC, right? But in reality, it's almost impossible to kind of guess exactly what's going to happen in the fight, you know, because their EV is so high that it's kind of hard to even hit them in the first place. Main job is as a corporate trainer for new management employees. Entrepreneurship is an important direct sales. Oh, import direct sales business. Okay. Sounds fun. Import direct sales business. So you're doing like drop shipping? That kind of thing? I hear that can be just hilariously lucrative. Okay, so we had this fight under control, and then more stuff showed up, which I guess is kind of the story of DCSS if you think about it. You know what? I'm gonna roll the dice on a telly, and it works out. If it didn't, we had more tools at our disposal to fix that fight. You know, we could have gotten dumped into the main vault, I guess. Oh, dude, I did it again. I let myself potentially get paralyzed. Not good. Okay, we got the irradiate. I have to be very careful. I have to be very careful with those ghost moths. I don't care if I LRD myself because I have such high high AC in stat form. Okay, let's enslave this wolf spider and let him solve the some of these problems for us. Geez, I wish I had Lamp of Fire. Maybe we could... man, I should have emulated some of this stuff, perhaps. It's okay, we'll just make snakes. Can't be paralyzed if I'm in stat form from the poison para. We import products from family-owned businesses in Australia, but instead of selling to retailers, we have regional branches that sell directly to customers. That's pretty cool. So your job is to manage that kind of thing, I assume, keep costs down and whatnot. So much stuff that goes into that kind of shipping, you know. I've done a few things kind of like that. Can definitely say that it's not... There's a lot of complicated stuff to do with it, so hats off to you, man. Buying the South Central East Coast branch, wow. So what you're telling me is that you're a millionaire. Just messing with you. Wow, we did not manage to kill this Emperor Scorpion, even while he was petrified. Hey Elf, how would you like to import some bitcoins? Not sure if you've been following the price of that lately. Very up and down, but mostly up. Yeah, you can still get confused in stat form, but our AC is okay, so I'm just going to fight it out unless more stuff shows up. Not wasting a cure potion. Best friend's family found at the business. I've been working with them for a while now, getting a ridiculous entry deal. Yeah, I mean, that's the funniest thing about so much of business is just like forging these network connections, you know, and that's how it's always been, and that's how it always will be. And I don't know, a lot of people that want to like become entrepreneurs or even get like a regular job, you know, kind of really discount how important networking is, and they want to complain it's not fair or something, but that's just like the way the world works, man. Like almost every major job I've had was because I knew somebody who, you know, it's like it didn't magically give me the job, but it got me like a foot in the door, you know, and that's tends to be how a lot of these big businesses do their hiring. Like somebody who already works there puts their reputation on the line to vouch for somebody, and that gets that person a you know, an interview at least. Nepotism good. I mean, I'm not making any statement on whether it's good or not. It's just like there's no way to get rid of it, you know. Like it doesn't make sense, you know. The world is always going to work that way, you know. So you might as well just accept it and kind of fashion things to work, assuming that that's going to be the case. 40% is your reputation, 40% is the reputation of who you know, 20% is everything else. Absolutely. And, you know, that always, I mean, I was always one of these people who wasn't a big fan of that, like the fact that that's how it works. You know, as a computer scientist, I just want to like write my awesome code or create something cool, and then it's like it survives or it dies on its own merits, but that's not really how people work necessarily. It can be in my industry, but more often than not, just like any other industry, it's like you have to play the game to some extent. Although that's also part of why I quit my you know, one of the biggest jobs I had right after grad school. You know, just because it's like that whole sort of schmoozing game. You know, there's only a certain amount of it that I can tolerate until I'm just like, dude, I want to do my own thing. You know. All right, so we went to Shoals. We immediately found a ice cave. Yeah, Talus. If you're not a, yeah, right. That's true. I think I got kind of unlucky in one of the, or the first place I went right after college, where it was just like particularly politics oriented. Although when you're when you're basically working for the government, that shouldn't really come as a surprise, you know. I guess. Wait, what? Okay, let's make a spire. We're being mesmerized, but it doesn't really matter. We can just sort of walk up and punch him in the face. We've also got spires to help. You know what? I'm just going to use a lamp of fire, which didn't actually do all that much. That's okay. All right, let's magic map. What do you mean, Wesley?
Let's get it on.
Hey, thanks, Alf. Alf is on this like insane generosity spree, and I'm very, very grateful. Yeah, Wesley. I mean, that's, I don't know. It's like there's a line, you know. It is very easy to dismiss people. You know, it's like any kind of making waves, as you put it. It's like, oh well, you know, you're not behaving the right way socially or whatever, and so you're just like, you know, I don't know. It feels that some work atmospheres can be like that, And people like us will probably not thrive in an environment like that. It's just, I mean, I don't even know if I would say that's necessarily the same thing as being tactful. People have this sort of different line for what's tactful and what's not, you know? Simply like pointing out that something could be done better might be seen as like graceless or insulting even to some people, which is not going to make sense to the type of person that I am, and it's probably not going to make any sense to you, but I do think it's a pretty common kind of thought where it's, depending on what culture you're from as well, just like pointing out that somebody did something wrong, even in like a kid gloves kind of way. People sometimes don't like that, Okay, I just screwed up badly. I moved wrong. That's okay though. Let's irradiate. Kind of risking getting porculated here, but it's an 8% chance, so I'm not super afraid. I just wanted to make sure I made it in here. Not afraid of 8% when you got 0% mesmerized. You still remember that, do you, Adort? Well, the reason I wasn't afraid is because I have blink scrolls, so if I got turned into a pig, I just blink out. I never forget such atrocities. Well, the real atrocity was when Doesn'tHe went into the Doesn'tHe went into the Discord and mentioned it. And check it out. The response was, what did he say exactly? He said, "Let's get it on." Oh wow, thanks, Al. It's awesome, man. So Doesn'tHe was like, well, okay, Malcolm was streaming, and blah 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 blah. This happened, and then instead of like addressing the fact that this is actually a pretty pernicious bug if you think about it, GammaFunk, the head dev, what did he say? He said something like, he started yelling at Doesn'tHe about advertising my stream. And it's like, he hadn't even posted like a link or anything to the stream. He just like mentioned that it happened while I was on stream. I just thought that was funny. Wow, Adort, that's quite a set of emojis there. But yeah, Elf, you're really going above and beyond, man. I definitely appreciate it. Wow, what a party. What a Ice Devil party. They go down though. Yeah, pretty much, Wesley. And like personally, I could like as a dev, let's say I've got like a project, I don't care if it's like Adolf Hitler telling me that there's a bug. I'm not going to waste time yelling at Adolf Hitler. I'm just going to fix the bug, not to compare myself to that person, but they like to, like it's like who cares who the bug happened to, just like fix it, That's true, Alf, man. You're gonna love what we're working on. Wesley here is actually the head of the art department on our team, so he's working hard too. Edward, no. I knew that would be the takeaway. Dude, these clouds. I feel like this is, I don't know if this branch has quite so many clouds, or if this particular version of it exists in Modern Crawl. One thing I'm definitely going to consider is finding a way to keep the flavor of ice caves while also removing these stupid clouds. Like, the funniest thing about them is that there's a way to cheese them without even really trying, where you can use the clouds to kill half the things in in the caves. Like there's a Reaper as a boss in this version of it if you're in the lair and you find an ice cave. Yeah, I know this. I think what I'm trying to say is I think they cut down on the size of the, like just how many clouds. I don't think it spills into the hallway anymore, but maybe it does. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I'm just not a huge fan of the clouds is all. And also, here's another thing. This portal vault, this particular layout, like why is there not an exit in here? There should be an exit in here. I have to walk all the way back to the front of the freaking of the whole, you know, portal branch or whatever you want to call it. This just seems silly. Let's drink a few curing. Okay. Whoa, 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 whoa. I did not mean to auto-explore right back into the cold. But yeah, I mean, that's like it seems like a small nitpick, but you would be surprised how quickly these little things add up to make a not as good player experience. So it's things like that, you know, when I talk about doing like a huge overhaul of the vaults system, you know, like all the vaults that are in the game, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Just like streamlining, you know. Oh, you like that, Wesley? Why does auto-explore drag you through the clouds? Well, in this version of the game, it doesn't create, it doesn't automatically create exclusions for the clouds, which I think it does in Modern Crawl. The four-lobed demon volcano with no RF on a Spriggan. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the overall balance of volcanoes. I think it's sort of silly that probably every volcano except for like one or maybe two layouts, you just have to be like a crazy person to do them. It just doesn't feel like it was balanced very well. You know, like the one the one where you end up fighting like a dozen wizards, you know, on a character that's probably in the lair is just particularly silly. You know, I don't care if they're hard set to not have banish. Like they're gonna have LCS then, you know. Didn't expect to survive. Yeah, no, I mean that's fine if you're not taking it seriously. But I don't know, man. Like I don't necessarily think that every single place that you go to in the game it has to be optimal to actually do it. You know, there is room in the game for fun things that are not all that optimal to do almost ever, but you know, still offer like high risk, high reward. And if you're going to do that, I do think that a portal vault is the appropriate place to do it. I don't know. I think that there should perhaps be a little more, perhaps a little more heads up. You know, maybe a few more clear walls. Let the player know if they're new to the game, like so they don't get so they don't get blindsided when they open a door and end up getting LCS'd in the face. You know. Or paralyzed for that matter. Toying with that on ongoing Spriggan Berserker Sling Stab challenge. That sounds fun. That sounds like a fun character. Yeah, Wesley. Well, and this is something we need to talk to Doesn't He about because he already wrote some code that does this. We're absolutely going to, and I don't think you're going to have any kind of objection to this. We are going to make it so that spell damage shows up. You know, and it's absolutely insane to me that it doesn't. I don't know if it's just laziness, you know, because it's a little bit complicated to do because of some spells or what. But Doesn't He has already written some code to make this happen, or at least I think he was in the process of doing it and hit some hiccups due to how busted Crawl's code is. But you know, I want that to be Honestly, I should add that to the list of things that I want before we release version 1. I want that in the game. You know, that's so huge to me, crucial even, because it's like that is going to be the #1 thing between us, you know, between us and Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, the Legacy Edition, as I started calling it, you know, is that we're not going to obscure important information just for the sake of, I don't know, flavor or whatever it is that they're trying to do. Okay, how do I want to kill this thing? First of all, let's make a spire. We'll do LRD, do some more LRD, do a nice big fat LRD that damages all that stuff. Nice. Can I petrify him? Yeah, I can. Huh. Man, LRD is totally sick versus Krakens. I'm hitting like every single segment. Genre convention, same as unidentified potions and scrolls. I'm not about to push for that change, though. That would be a fundamental change. Well, the phrase "fundamental change." I know that we've tried to create this sort of lodestar kind of guiding light. You know, as much as is possible, we'll try to follow it. But I do think that the very phrase "fundamental change" is a little bit subjective. And in that case, I would actually consider it. Because, I don't know, you'd have to be really careful. That's not something I think I'd want to open up with, but it is something that I think that further down the line there should be a discussion on that, because I don't really necessarily disagree with you that the identification minigame is sort of fundamentally silly. I do think that the game benefits from it to some degree. As much as it hurts, I think it also helps. Do I care about this RF ring? No, I don't. Because we're already getting RF from this thing that also gives us our core and our elec. And we're getting another pip of RF from this buckler. Yeah, random energy is another one of those things that I want to take a very serious look at. And you could make the argument, actually there's no arguing about it, that is a fundamental part of the game. And it changes so much. You know, the benefit of random energy is that if you are a speed 10, that's a silly amulet to have on this character. Let's drop that. If you're a speed 10, and by the way, I know I'm like explaining this to someone who probably already knows, but I just want to get it out there. Like if you're a speed 10 dude, and you roll up onto like an ogre or some other speed 10 guy, you can walk away and walk away and walk away, and eventually you'll be able to take a staircase and reset the fight without the use of resources. That's great. You know, and the downside is that there's this kind of wacky mechanic in place that can cause what I would argue really feels like unfair deaths. You know? Where it's like, oh, I thought I walked away, I did the right thing, and yet the Hydra was able to take a step and then attack me anyway, you know. Yeah, I agree, Wesley, and I think that, you know, you can substitute some mechanics for new mechanics and still achieve, like you said, the same spirit. But I don't know. Random energy is kind of a weird thing. I think that there's more going on there than I'm probably giving it credit for. I need to talk to some other people about it, but I feel like there are reasons that it exists that go sort of beyond what we've mentioned so far. All right. I've had it with these guys. Let's amplify them. Look at that. It took me forever to punch a freaking basic merfolk to death. Dota does this thing I actually endorse where there's a tiny abstraction sprinkled all throughout the game, similar to random energy. But I think there's a place for that sort of small randomness in real-time game where there's no place for it in a turn-based game. I don't know about that. I'll give you an example where, and I know this is a little bit of a straw man, but did you ever play, were you ever like a fan of the Smash Brothers series? Because in Melee, which was widely considered one of like the best balanced fighting games of all time, almost entirely by accident, by the way, you know, there was not really any randomness like that at all. You played Brawl at the competitive level, then you understand how unbelievably silly it is that there was a mechanic that just made your dude trip randomly if you walked around. It's absurd. You know, why does tripping exist? It's like your guy's too clumsy, you know. So it's like it created this, and I'm sure you know this if you played at a competitive level. It created this bizarre meta where people just like tried not to walk at all, you know. Like they minimized the amount that they moved around on the ground, which just, I don't know, it's silly. You know, so personally, I am a fan of sort of removing as much randomness as possible from games. I'm talking about Brawl. Sorry, I was trying to say, I was comparing Melee to Brawl. Melee didn't have that, is what I was saying, and Brawl introduced all this weird stuff that was, as you say, kind of a middle finger to the competitive community. That's not a small randomness. Fair point. Well, I mentioned before I started this whole spiel that it was a little bit of a straw man. Okay, I just took transmutations up insanely high. Didn't really mean to. I guess we have stat form at an extremely low fail rate now, which is nice. It's that lack of it's that total lack of training targets. It's making me mess that up repeatedly. Talk about a huge change to the game. You know, it's so simple. It's so simple. Just a nice quality of life feature, but, you know, it changed everything. Talus, I'll have you know I did that exact thing in college many times. Strategy over tactics. Yeah, but then again, I mean, small is very subjective, you know. I don't know how many of my Westnoth streams I've shown you, but like that's a game that I would argue has just an absolutely absurd amount of randomness in it, to the extent that like it's hard for me to, like, I don't hate Westnoth, but it's hard for me to enjoy it in the same way that I enjoy a game like Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, because it's just like it feels like the game's not necessarily totally in my hands. But those guys will defend it, and you know, I'm not saying they're even necessarily wrong, but they will defend it in the same way that you have defended other kinds of small randomness, by like, well, it just emphasizes strategy over tactics. And it's true, it does. And in general, I would say that the better player wins a game of Westnoth, but I would also say it's probably not exactly always true by any means. And so it's like it becomes sort of a thing where you really have to think hard about just how much of that you're willing to accept. D&D is less random than Westnoth. You know, I think I would agree with that, because with D&D at least you can build your character to make things that you really want to happen. regardless of what role you get for the most part. Granularity is essential to the discussion. How minor is the randomness and how frequently does it happen? Yeah, fair point. In the case of Westnoth, of course, it happens every single time that you attack, so it's kind of a very fundamental part of the game. But then again, random energy is something that can happen literally every time a monster moves, so I would say that random energy is pretty fundamental in the same way. Happens all the time. Alright, I'll see you around. Thanks for the subs, man. That's really cool of you. Have a nice night. Man, if I had like if I had like 50 elves subbing to me, you know, how amazing would that be? It always does kind of stun me how generous some people can be. You know, I mean, not everybody's in a position to do that, but even if you are, it's like nothing obligates you to do that for anyone, so it's always impressive to me, you know, that there are people that are so giving that exist. It's like the fact that, honestly, the fact that that people can make a living off Twitch at all, and I'm not me, but like just like anybody, is almost mind-blowing to me. Like, I never thought that people were that generous, even for, you know, people that they like, you know. But then, like, I watched, there's this guy, God, what's his name? He's, he does, like, it's Mario Maker. He does Mario Maker. His name's Ryucar. Really entertaining guy, but I watched one of his streams once, and he was like, he's getting, like, hundreds of bucks from people, and I'm like, this guy's just going bing, bing, wahoo, man. Like, he's very talented, extremely skilled guy, but, like, wow. And it just blew my mind that, like, people, you know, could be that generous. So it's just like, it's kind of renews my faith in humanity a little bit to see that kind of thing where it's just like, you know, giving back to people that are, you know, that are sort of helping you have a good time, you know. But it's like, I think it all comes back to, there was I think like this whole like pay what you want thing is so cool, not just for like Twitch or anything, but it comes back to like video games and stuff. You know, if I was going to release a game, I might use that model, you know. And I forget who it was that did this first. I think it was a band, actually, that released an album, and I can't remember which band it was. And it was like considered mind-blowing at the time that they would just release their album and let people pay what they wanted, and then they got like millions of dollars, you know, off this band, because their fans were like so appreciative of the fact that they weren't being treated like a commodity. You know, it's just like, dude, you know, enjoy our music, and if you want to reward us for this, and I'm not saying everybody should do that. It makes sense that you want to get paid or whatever if you're putting work into something, but like, I think that's so cool that they did that. You know, and it's just like, look, I'm releasing my stuff into the world. If you want to reward me for it, fine. If you don't, that's fine, you know, but I want you to enjoy what I made. You know, and I don't know, that was just like, so that happened when I was a kid, I think, and I wish I could remember which band did that first. Yeah, there you go, Talus. I mean, yeah, you make music, and it's like the people who truly appreciate your work and have the money to spare, they will help you out, you know. And I'm kind of comparing that to Twitch, because I think it's the same sort of mentality. You know, like, for example, Twitch did this thing recently, and it's the subscriber-only stream, where like only your subscribers can see it. And I mean, like, as much as I'd want to like reward my subscribers, I don't know if I'd ever want to do that, because it's like, you know, I do Twitch streaming because it's like, I want to both have a good time and like entertain people, and I don't want that to be predicated upon like, well, you gotta pay up. You know what I mean? Like, you better pay up if you wanna hang out with me like that. I'm not saying that's wrong, but it's not really what I want to do, you know. That's a Janny feature. Is that like to stop you from getting trolled or something, like stream sniped? I guess I could understand it from that perspective. Right. Yeah, Wesley. I kind of agree. I just think it's kind of it feels like you're treating people as a commodity, which, you know, is to be expected from like a big business. But like, I'm just some dude. You know, I'm not trying to exploit people. I'm trying to like make friends and have a good time and entertain people and whatnot. in this case, I'm trying to like show people how to play this game better. And it's like, I don't know, it feels excessive, I guess. It's, I'm not really sure what other word I would use for it. Make good things, make them available to the world, ask good people to support your... Absolutely. And that is the mentality, I think, that is both healthy and positive and good. You know, I think it's just good. And I think that if more people did that, that'd be awesome. I mean, there's going to be some number of people that are not going to, you know, come hell or high water, they're not going to support you, but like, that's fine, man. It's not a big deal, because like, truthfully, they probably wouldn't, you know, if you were forcing people behind a paywall. You know, there's this comedian that I quite enjoy the work of, and I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. You know, and I was talking to him on the phone a while back about like how he had put his work behind a paywall, and I was like, dude, you know, like, I appreciate that you want to get paid, but you know, why don't it's like this dude was already making like $10,000 a month or something ridiculous, I think. If I remember something, whatever his public Patreon numbers were, and I'm like, dude, like, you're making these videos of you ranting in a car, and while it's funny, you know, putting this behind a paywall seems like the wrong move. Like, the majority of his fan base was really annoyed by it, I think. And I mean, like, I tried to advise him in the other direction, but he basically told me to go pound sand, so whatever. He's famous, I'm not, so maybe he's probably doing something right and I'm not, but I don't know. Yeah, Talus knows who I'm talking about. They'll never get all the boys back together, unfortunately. One of those dudes is like selling furniture and apparently making really good money doing it. So it's like, he probably doesn't care about the siren song of fame at this point, you know? He is the most normal of them all. Yeah, he's married. I think he has a kid too. I don't know, man. I would like to see more of his content. Hey Wesley, do you know who we're talking about? This mystery comedian. I don't want to say his name because I don't know if that's just gonna like trigger the Twitch, you know, the Twitch ban. I'll give you a hint. He had a show on Comedy Central that got canned. Personally, I thought the show was hilarious, but apparently it's evil. It's too evil for TV. I'll tell you on Discord later. Did I say Comedy Central? Yeah, I meant to say Adult Swim. Man, adored, it does sound like I'm talking about that guy. But I'm probably not, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows who I'm talking about? Ah! The Javelineer shot his javelin at me, and it missed me and hit the water elemental and killed it. I was sitting here thinking like, gee, I'm gonna have to go up soon, because I don't want to fight both at once. Solved that problem for me. And I hope we get to the point where we can tab through the rest of the game with stat form soon. Twitch mods won't care if you talk about Samuel L. Hyde. Maybe. I don't know. We're living in this very strange 1984 style world where it's like, I feel like if I express the fact that I find a particular guy funny, you know, and he's been sort of unpersoned as the most evil dude in the universe, you know, perhaps wrongly, then you know, it's like, oh, well, you're supporting, you know, evil, therefore we've got to remove you from everything. It's like, I don't even, you know, I don't know where the line is, and I think that's almost intentional with these people, where it's like this sort of outrage brigade that goes into people's YouTubes, their Twitches, their whatever, and complains. You know, the idea is not necessarily to have a hard set list of rules that you're supposed to follow, you know, and is instead just meant to like tell you to shut the hell up, basically. You know, it's just unfortunate. It's like only, you know, and the terms of service is never particularly consistent, I guess I should say. You know, it's like you'll get one thing that's tells you that politics aren't allowed on a platform, and then you'll see the platform pushing political things, you know, the platform itself, and I think you'll have some idea of what I'm referring to. And that happens all the time, you know. But it's like what they're really saying, it's not that politics are not allowed, it's your politics are not allowed, you know. It's a video on YouTube where a guy talks about Shostakovich, the Russian composer during the Soviet years, and he had to re-upload it because it got flagged by the algo for saying Nazi, Stalin, etc. I'll give you a good one. There's a, Doesn't he posted an image of a guy's YouTube channel where the algos are so crazy that he was talking about characters in, I believe, a Fire Emblem game, and one of the dude's names sort of sounded like a racial slur, I guess. Like, I guess if you were listening really, really hard and trying to hear it. But it was just the character's name. It had nothing to do with that. It wasn't even remotely, to me, it doesn't sound anything like it. But the algorithms are real stupid, and, you know, it's so bad that it was demonetizing him. And so he had to refer to the character as a different name entirely so as to avoid getting flagged. You know, it's just crazy, you know? What do I want to do? I want to go stat form. I want to go stat form, then I want to irradiate this lady. Okay, she's misshapen and mutated. And then I want to lamp of fire. Okay, we'll move up. We'll irradiate again. We'll swing, we'll swing. She's blinking around, which is always sort of an obnoxious thing about fighting against DCSS. She blinked again. Off to the right, I guess. Do my third irradiate. Swing, swing. That's my last irradiate. We got her. Did level drain ever exist in DCSS? Sort of. There was a really weird thing with drain life. I think it actually could reduce your level. And I remember back in the day at some point, draining enemies would actually take away the amount of experience they gave you, just like D&D. And I know that at some point there was... Actually, you know what? Yeah. There was level drain, because there's a dude... I remember I saw the log once of a guy who ascended at level 1 because he sat there and cast Drain Bolt on himself, you know, on level 1 of the dungeon while sitting on the exit. Sentinel's Mark. Uh-oh. I wonder if any of those really old versions are still enjoyable. You'd have to play them so slowly. I don't know. I don't think I would like any of the old versions, really. Mostly because of the fact that item destruction was real dumb. Just like really silly. Okay, this is... I've screwed up. Let's read Blink. Let's go up. Let's go stat form so we don't die to poison. Sort of a bad engagement there, but I had to use a blink scroll, which is a shame. But with that said, I mean, what are you gonna do, you know? Like if you get marked, it's necessary to use resources sometimes. It's just a fact. Let's evoke. Stone arrow. We'll just punch him to death. Dude, stop spawning things. Likes Modern Crawl, hates D&D 4th edition. I never played 4th edition. I don't know if I hate it or not. I know that I really liked 3.5, but that's just the version that I played. Of course, I liked the first one I started with. Okay, let's not get put to sleep. Look at all this crap. Can we get sent off this staircase? I really want to immolate, but I don't even know if that'd be worth it. Wish we had a scroll of blinking in a shop to buy, so I'd have more than one. You know what, let's just go up. I mean, what am I doing? Of course I should go to the other staircase. I could have kind of chilled out down there and irradiated a bunch. I mean, I still could, I guess. Open up a stat form, rest a little bit to get my mana back, come down. Oh yeah, no, we can stair dance this a bit. It's not bad. It's kind of like having an axe, actually. That's interesting, Talus, regarding 4th edition. Designed to be played on a virtual tabletop program that they never made. Well, that sounds dead on arrival. Let's get another food emporium. Really burning through our food. I'm not really sure why. I shouldn't be burning through my food quite so much. Maybe in this version of the game, food gives less sustenance. I mean, I know the pizza and whatnot does, but seems like I'm burning through just a massive amount of my gold on food shops. I mean, it's actually getting really obnoxious. But we're not using spell hunger for the most part, so it's kind of hard to understand why that's happening. I'm a high elf, you know, it's not like I'm... Oh shit, I need to be in staff form. I guess I'm doing a lot of resting. Is Necromutation available by any chance? We could get that online pretty fast, to be honest. Yeah, I guess I am resting a lot to get, like, contamination off. Not sure why, but Shoals is feeling like very grueling and painstaking right now. It's hard to explain. Just seems like things are taking longer. I think it's, you know what it is? It's the fact that we have these damn these spawns, man. I forgot. Like, check it out. I can't get a decent rest in. Because stuff keeps spawning in, which can be very dangerous. This is one of the changes I was just extremely happy about when it came in. Because it's like back in the day, you could get kind of blindsided, like, oops, I went upstairs on this like supposedly clear floor, and now there's a two-headed ogre next to me, and I take 100 damage and die. You know, wasn't like the most common thing in the world, but it could happen. Oh, this is cute. Let's lamp him. I think the problem with my food, by the way, was mostly that I was casting things without the staff equipped. All right. Let's just finish out this floor. Definitely something that made this feel more grueling was the fact that we hit a mark trap. You know, that's gonna slow things up a bit. You know what I mean? Having to fight an entire floor. Sort of in a precarious, well, it's not necessarily going to slow things up. Like if your character's in a position where you can just sort of cast stat form and tab things, or use your trusty axe plus huge armor to tab things, that might actually speed things up a bit. Oh, whoops, hit the wrong button there. Started dropping things instead of casting. So this is hilarious. Check it out. I can turn the Kraken to stone, and his tentacles just keep going. Like, they don't care. They also, it's like magic. Like, there's no tentacles on the way out of the Kraken. These are just like leftover tentacles from before. It's bizarre. Okay, I don't know if it's obvious, but I've been evoking so I can kill this thing, actually have the mana to kill this thing, and it worked out. Okay, let's turn the Drake to stone because he was blowing me away. Just to stop him from doing that, really. So check this out. This is Louise. Look a little different. I actually thought that this was the old fat dwarf NPC that doesn't exist anymore, but instead we've got Louise the Corrupted. I guess I shouldn't be in stat form around her because that takes away my cloak or my robe with MR Plus on it. So, does she even have her shield? Yeah, I guess she doesn't have a shield in this version. So I just gotta watch out for her lightning bolt, which is curving around my arm missile. Yeah, I like Louise's shield. Sometimes I'll make sure that I'm using that just because it's vaguely unique. Ruined version of the game. I agree. Stage a protest. What's going on here? What is... Is this an arrow? Oh, it's a net. Okay. A retroactive protest, yeah. All this resting, man. It's not good for my hunger. I think part of the problem was that I was casting Irradiate. Like without the staff on. And believe it or not, level 5 spells, we still don't have those hungerless without the staff. By this time on most characters, I would have both stat form. You know, like if I was doing for a Gozag dude, my usual thing that I love to do, Gozag with stat form and LRD, you know, by now I would have that stuff hungerless because my intelligence would be higher, and also I would have more spell casting. But in this particular case, we're kind of relying on the staff. What the hell is... What is this? Get out of here. Cannot move away from the avatar. Well, I'll be back for you, Mr. Kraken. Should get regen, probably. Oh, that's deep water. Derp. Okay, finally. So we got the rune. Oh, he has a Rod of Inaccuracy. Holy shit, dude! He netted me and then used a Rod of Inaccuracy. That could have done a ton of damage. I don't think more than like 100, but I don't actually know how much damage that... Could that have killed me? I don't know. I feel like that's LCS tier damage. Certainly something. Okay. Found an amulet that's terrible. Well, we've got this Rod of Inaccuracy now. Could possibly have some fun with that. What does Rod of Inaccuracy do? I'm glad you asked that question. Well, pretty much Envy, yeah. Low chance to hit, but it does enormous damage. It's a rod too, so some kind of unique mechanics with that don't exist anymore. So the spell power is based on your evocations, but it's also based on like, okay, so this is a +2 Rod of Inaccuracy. You could use a recharge scroll on it to either increase the number of charges it has or increase the bonus. I think with the bonus it recharges faster and possibly does more damage. And then the charges will recharge over time, depending on your evocation skill, and like I said, the bonus. So I don't really know if we're going to be blowing our recharge scrolls on that, considering that we've got good old Wands of Hasting, but maybe. Maybe. God, I keep getting like giga poisoned. Just silly because I have stat form. I can be immune to poison if I want to be. Let's not be engulfed. Engulf is bad. But yeah, I forgot that enemies could use rods. It's kind of fun. And by fun, I mean like horrifying. I'm just mopping up this floor because I know that I can safely do it is all. So it's kind of like, why not? Kind of free experience. Probably nothing in the way of loot left on this floor, but actually, you know what? It looks like we fully explored it. Okay. Good, good, good. Okay, so that's 2 runes. We're at what I would argue is the most fun part of the game. Well, the most fun part of the game is probably the first few floors, also the most nerve-wracking, but this is the part where your character gets incredibly powerful. And we're just about there. And you know, if we feel like it, we could probably do slime right away. Iron Shot's not available. Crystal Spear is not available. So how are we going to kill TRJ? Good old stat form plus haste plus might plus agility should do the trick. I guess we could go ahead and do this. It's a little early, but we got our core, whatever. I just have to be careful not to be in stat form versus certain enemies. Let's pull this guy up. If I'm careful, I can kill these things with Stone Arrow with just a little bit of luck. It's a little awkward, but Orb of Destruction available? No. Iron Shot would make this a lot easier. Let's go stat form. Let's pull him up. Check it out. Let's just irradiate. Does good damage. Then we just punch him. Yes, you can irradiate blobs. I'm not going to make any statement as to whether that makes sense or not, but you can misshapen. You can give the misshapen and mutated effect to them. It's kind of funny. Should perhaps be a little careful about using such an ability. Irradiate, that is. I believe it's very noisy. We can check. A bit loud, yep. So what we'd rather not do is we'd rather not be attracting attention in here. Okay, so here's an example of something I don't want to be stat formed around. Great Orb of Eyes could absolutely do some bad things to me. Let's pull him up. Actually, we're in kind of a weird situation. And I'll tell you why. Just 1 second. Oh my god. It's hard to overstate. Like, if you haven't played a version like this, an older version like this, you're not necessarily going to understand firsthand exactly why this is so obnoxious, but I gotta say, the fact that things interrupt you while you're resting regularly is very painful. It's like taxing mentally. You know, I've gotten so used to being able to just like smash the 5 key and get all my stuff back, but it's a bit of a luxury. Anyway, so here's what's the problem. If I go down and I'm in stat form, that's great because I'm not taking as much damage from the acid blob, but it's horrible because I could get paralyzed. So we're almost forced to go down without stat form up. Thankfully, we did not get punished for that. We're really cheesing Irradiate for this. Alright, so there is this guy who's immediately mutating me, so we'll just irradiate him to death. We end up with -2 dex. However, this is old style mutations. So not only do we have mutation potions, we got cure mutation. So I'm not worried. Oops, hit the wrong button there. Oh crap. Yep, he can paralyze me. Let's go up. Let's go back up to the lair, into transformation. Go back down. That could have killed me. Well, it couldn't have killed me, but it could have forced me to use resources, fighting both an azure jelly and an acid blob at the same time. This character is definitely not a powerhouse yet. I mean, he's real strong, but he probably shouldn't be in here. Truth be told, the safest place for me is probably the vaults, but with that said, the vaults is going to have more annoying MR threats than this place that I would like to be in stat form against if possible. Is slime worse in this version? You mean harder? No, I'd say it's about the same. Maybe a little less annoying, actually, considering that the mutation system is not broken. Yeah, how about that 14 plus 14 chainmail? The chainmail of love and death. I found that and I was kind of sad that I had devoted myself to being a caster. HEs have decent martial aptitudes, though. They're okay. You're not a dumpy deep elf. Well, while I agree with you, part of the problem is that at that point in the game I had already really devoted myself super hard to casting, and if I put that chainmail on, I wouldn't be able to cast anything really, so... Okay, we're spamming Irradiate. Okay. Really have no excuse for getting mutated, because I can just do this. We got the wand mutation, which is not that big of a deal. I feel like something has changed. Something, and I don't know what. Something has changed about food between this version and the current version. Maybe it gives, I don't know, I think it's just like the fact that the rations have been normalized or whatever. I feel like you overall get more sustenance, because I am actually hurting on food to the extent that I'm burning my money on food shops. Like, something has gotten less retarded, perhaps entirely by accident, I don't know. But like, food is actually proving to be an obnoxious hurdle, where it's almost never an obnoxious hurdle, you know? Hey buddies. Confusion gaze, 1%. Okay, I didn't know that I was still confusable. Sort of annoying. I can always go upstairs, even while confused, but okay, that's all the golden eyes. Trying to be extra careful because this character still feels kind of weak. One of the #1 rules in slime, if you're weak especially, but in general you should be following this rule. If you're injured, you know, go to an upstairs whenever you're resting. And I don't mean go upstairs, go to an upstairs. Or possibly even go all the way to lair if you're feeling particularly uncomfortable, but this should be sufficient. Like, the thing is, you'll notice well, okay. So if I get ambushed while I'm resting, as is going to happen a lot, especially in this version, I want to be able to just go upstairs if there's a problem. I got minus 10% MP. I don't think I care. But like, if I was just resting on that downstairs or just like anywhere other than this upstairs, I could have a serious problem, you know? Okay, got deformed body. I don't care. I feel like LRD has less damage in this version. Or maybe my spell power just isn't very good. Something's off. I don't know what it is. Something is slightly off. The fact that I'm being forced to rely on Irradiate is a little bit strange. I'm not really complaining, like, the character is plenty strong. It's just a little strange is all. But hey, we're getting tons of gold. Perhaps I'll be able to afford another food shop by the time I'm done with slime, so I'm not going to run out of food. I suspect I'm probably not going to be able to do my usual shenanigans where I bribe the hell out of Zot and the orb run, you know? Which is a little bit unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Bro, okay. Hold the phone. This is actually dangerous. Hold on a minute. How much damage am I at risk for? Need to look up Eye of Devastation, and we need to look up Acid Blob. We have to remember that we're in stat form, so we're slow. I don't want to play chicken with the RNG here. Probably help if I type Devastation right. 3d7 acid. It's 21 plus, I think I determined it can do like 45 damage. Divided by 2, I think, because of my well, only the acid damage is divided by 2 because of my corrosion resistance. Eye of Devastation can do 3d20, so actually the Eye of Devastation alone can kill me. Boy, that's a shame. Okay. Shit, I think we gotta blink, you guys. All the way up here. I know I'm getting hit. Hold on. I'm gonna heal wounds through it. Take a step. Okay, now they can both see me again. I'm going to heal myself. I have shitloads of corrosion. I'm going to fog. I'm going to laugh as I get owned by old style fog, which can just like bad luck you sometimes for no particularly good reason. I'm going to make some spiders. I'm going to use a scroll of summoning because that's a little more reliable. I'm going to spam heal wounds on myself. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to cast Repel Missiles. I'm going to watch my allies tear these assholes apart. Good. Just for maximum safety, I'm going to heal wounds myself a couple more times just in case something bad happens, and then I'm going to recharge my heal wounds wand, which is the most wonderful thing really about this version. Okay, so that was scary as hell. Why did that happen? Alright, that happened because I underestimated just like, well, those things can do a lot of damage regardless of your defenses. And I was just playing really fast, and you know, if I hadn't been paying enough attention even after the bad thing happened, which is that we just took a spike of damage, we could have easily lost this run. You know, it would have been very, very easy for me to just not have realized what a bad situation I was in. Like, I was on the staircase, right? And I had 59 hit points, right? Which seems like it's low, but not so bad. Like, oh, I'll just go upstairs. But if I had just hit that up arrow key, I could have been one-shotted. Instead, I blinked off, unfortunately, into an acid wall, which is probably a mistake. But I blinked off and hasted myself and healed a bunch, which I think was the right move. The thing that was virtually well, it was guaranteed to keep me from dying, which of course is what you want. Of course, that makes TRJ a more dubious prospect without that scroll of summoning. You know what? I wish we had Passage of Galubria. No such luck, I suppose. Honestly, I should be an elf. Come to think of it. Hmm. Okay, we got a lot of stuff coming. You know what? Oh, Christ. I can't mess around with these dudes, you know? Like, I actually have to use snakes because I'm far from a staircase, and I have no way of sort of safely pathing myself over to the staircase, you know? Thankfully, snakes are an all-purpose tool. Extremely well-balanced level 2 spell. It's kind of an awkward tool set as well, is why this is going a little bit strangely. Like if I had Iron Shot, this would be pretty straightforward, you know. Because we would be one or two shotting everything, really. But this is a great example of how you can have a situation that's not like 100% ideal. And again, I can't complain too much because it's like, whatever, this is a perfectly powerful character. But you can have a situation that's not quite exactly what you would want it to be, and still, you know, use the tools that you are given to make it work. Let's dig this out. I'm playing a version where I have that luxury. God, 3d20 damage. That's not even a fire or ice, is it? It's just bolt of energy, just straight up eat 60 damage potentially. Scary. Okay, so we dig this out. Okay, we'll put the spire in between us and this dude. Come to realize I'm not a super tank on this character, so I should start playing accordingly. Time to use this trick. I can shoot him, he can't shoot me. Ah, you know what part of the problem is? It's the spawns. You know? It's just what I was talking about earlier, where it's like their stuff just keeps coming, keeps coming, keeps coming. You can turn them off if you hang out on a floor long enough, but it's not really feasible. I think it's something like 12,000 turns or something stupid like that. So you don't want to do that. So part of why this seems so much harder than a modern version, you know, is like it's not really harder. It's just a lot more grueling, and you're going to get surprised more. So like imagine if I had forgotten all my little tricks, which I still use in more modern versions of crawl just because they're best practice. But like I've not had to use them quite so consistently, you know, in a long time. Like I will say the game used to be harder. Or again, not really harder, just like more punishing of mistakes, perhaps. That was a huge, huge change when they put that in, making it so enemies don't spawn after the fact. Although it's also, you know, in some ways, in some ways it's actually, you know, it's actually harder the other way around too, because you can end up with floors that are just chock-ass full of enemies, you know. Right off the bat, which can make things very difficult. So I don't want to say that it's easier. I want to say it's difficulty of a different sort. I certainly prefer it the new way to the old way. So anybody who says I'm always complaining about crawl changes can put that in their pipe and smoke it. Like, I actually like that a lot. And it is really interesting playing a version of the game where it's different. I wonder which version that change happened in. I feel like it might have been the one right after this. Okay, I don't want to fight all this stuff at the same time. I thought I pulled him, but I guess not. Dang it, they're both coming. Running out of food. We only have fruit left. Well, we can call a merchant. I guess let's go ahead and do that and get a food shop. Feels really weird. This is actually a nice fat food shop, so that's good. That should last me. Used up all of our gold, blah. Unfortunate. We're in here, by the way, exploring because we need a different staircase. In case you ever wondered, if you can stone arrow acid blobs to death, this game is living proof. Do I want to do this? Is this goofy, this thing that I'm doing? This is alright. Check this out, we use Disc of Storms, but it's not doing anything. I'm trying to show off Disc of Storms for you guys, but no such luck perhaps. That is a Titanic slime. Surprised he's not splitting. Do I want to charm him perhaps? He won't stay charmed for long because something's going to explode. You know what? Screw this. Let's just go up. That sure was interesting. Was that a good use of Emulate? I'll let you guys decide, I guess, but I feel like it wasn't a total waste. The whole game has a different feel to it when you have this spawn mechanic in place, and I would say it's definitely a worse feeling. It's like you feel like there's a monster around every corner, which, I mean, that could be good, I guess. You know, if you're trying to create sort of a horror atmosphere for a game, I could see it. But I feel like Dungeon Crawl is a game about... It's a game about being careful, but maybe not in that way. You know, it's a game about getting so powerful that, you know, you're like overcoming challenges and whatnot. It's almost like a puzzle game more than anything. And I feel like a slog doesn't necessarily make for a good puzzle, if that makes sense. Okay, go to end transformation, let the spire, kill the shining eye. Oops, he noticed me, there's another one. Same thing. Let's let my allies handle this. Oh, hey. Bambler Boozler. Thanks for the host, man. It's really cool. How you doing tonight, Bambler Boozler? Things are just starting to heat up with this this high elf. Doing sleepy. All right. Those green tiles look cool. Have you been to? Do you mean the like the sort of acidy spots beside the slime walls? If I step on those, I take acid damage. And yeah, slime does look pretty cool. I'd be curious to hear Wesley's opinion on that since he's an artist, but I think he's mentioned he likes the enemies in here a lot. We are sort of cheesing Irradiate, among other things, to go and do slime a little bit earlier than would otherwise be advisable. Whoa, we got Slime Donald. Donald does not spawn in slime anymore, so this is kind of fun. I think this is also old style Donald. I don't think he has haste. No, he does have haste and might. That's funny. They don't spawn Donald in slime anymore because he can just die, like to the walls. Oh, it's also Axe Donald. Well, he goes down to Irradiate. Let's remove Curse so we can try this shield on. So it's a +0 shield of reflection. We lose our RC+. I think I'm actually inclined to just keep the Buckler of Kasut on, just because I value having resistances pretty highly. You know, RF+, RC+, it's a pretty good item. Our SH is never going to be very high, and that's another reason why we're having a bit of trouble. But the resistances are just too good. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Shame there is no X in on Y texture overlays, like stairs and slime looking a little different than stairs on water. Well, that's something that could be added. That's a really interesting idea that I think would look cool. Let me make a note to myself about that. Slime, stairs, overlay. I like that. Although water stairs, I guess you could do a tile for that. I think it kind of misses the point though, because the only time you ever have stairs in water is that only happens when the stair's completely covered up by the nymphs, you know? And the idea is that you can't use those stairs, so I kind of agree with them being completely turned off. Alright, let's use a charge of haste. Build yourself speed up, okay. Let's use might. Let's use agility. Let's even use a resistance just to, well, I don't think we need it. How am I going to do this? This is okay. This is okay. We've got 10 evocations. That's pretty good. It's a little weird. And I sure do wish we had blank scrolls. But this will be okay. Gotta psych myself up for this. Okay, let's go off Brill. Let's go in here. Wait a turn. Throw a net on him. Take a step. Go stat form. I really need CeCK to actually work here. It doesn't really. Okay, now I need beasts to work. That pretty much works. Okay, throw more nets. This is okay. Okay, this is okay. Take out our fists, swing, use sack of spiders again. Now that was unfortunate, but that's okay. I'm going to throw a net on him. We're going to irradiate. Going to irradiate again. Going to swing. Irradiate one more time and he dies. Cool. Alright, we're going to teleport. Now I forgot, this is old style slime. So look at what's happened to me here. All of the walls have disappeared, not just the ones blocking the treasure proper, but every last one. So suddenly we're surrounded by assholes, so that's a bit of a problem. I didn't know that was going to happen. We could blink out of this, and I think we're gonna. And then we just take a step. Okay, cool. Let's drink a potion of cancellation. Takes all of my stuff off, but it also takes that contam down. Should be able to fist fight an Azure Jelly. Robes keep disappearing. That's me casting statue form. So I can actually fist fight these guys. Turning into a statue. It's actually a very good spell. It's one of my favorite ones. You'll see me use it a lot on this channel. You can see when it's up by if I cast it here. Not only will the tile change, but you also see statue right here under the effects. Because it gives high AV. It gives high. Oh yeah, AC, right? Yeah, it's really good. It also gives GDR, which means that there's like a guaranteed amount of damage that'll resist from melee attacks, which is quite nice. Okay, we'll put a spire, put another spire, put a spire. You'll notice I'm trying to block him from being able to shoot me. Yeah, these ambushes, you know, I'd rather fight an enormous number of things right off the bat than get ambushed repeatedly almost forever, you know. Oh, there's more stuff. Yeah, there's going to be a ton, actually. Okay. This might be a little slow going to clear these things out. shit. That's a lot of stuff. Well, tons of irradiate does the job, I guess. Can we get our loot now? Yeah, we can. Book of Dreams. I would have been very happy to see this if this was a more modern version of Krull because of Val Clutch, but it's not in there in this version. I'm not going to say it's useless. It's certainly got good spells in it still, such as Shadow Creatures, but we don't really need that on this guy, so we leave it behind. Ice and Int +4, don't need that. Scroll Summoning, that's good. Robe with +Blink, we don't need that. Holy Word, that's always good to have. Phantom Mirror, that's useful in the Orb Run. Tome of Dusty Sinister Arts. Well, it's got regen. So we'll take regen. Okay, Sigatuvi's Embrace is actually in this version. Kind of funny. Let's get Swiftness. Whoops, didn't mean to take my hat off. Yes, books are items in this version, so we gotta manage them. The Autumn Katana. Wow. Wow. Based Japanese steel here. Actually a really good weapon. You know, if we wanted to, we could in fact use it just to get nice ripostes. I don't think we're going to do that, but could be cool, I guess. Having immunity to confuse is nice, but I don't think we're going to fool with that, to be honest with you. Identify. That is a solid ring. That gives me more MR+, which I have been wanting. Okay, we should not be picking up Scrolls of Enchant Weapon. What would we possibly need that for? Can't enchant my fists, sadly. Amulet of Rage, that is not likely to be useful, but it's better than no amulet at all. Would have been much nicer to find that super early in the game. You know, well, what are you going to do? Let's drop this Whip of Distortion. I really don't need to be carrying it around anymore. Drop something else. I guess Vulnerability. It's a Staff of Earth. That's a real contender. Brass Knuckles. You know, there is an item in one of those forks, one of those Dungeon Crawl forks, that makes you do lightning damage with your fists, which is pretty cool. Okay, I think that's everything. It's a Pitted Hunting Sling I guess I could try on. Strength +10. Contam, whatever. I guess I'll cancel. Drink a couple cancels. That was a bit of a waste of 2 cancels, but saves me the trouble of being mutated more. Although, yeah, I probably should have just let myself get mutated from the contamination. Alright, we're done with slime. And we got rewarded. Decently highly by virtue of this ring of MR+. So now I can actually go into ELF or vaults without fear of being targeted for my MR, or targeted, you know, with like slow or paralysis or anything like that. Because in stat form I meld my robe, which is one of my sources of MR, so it's nice to have another one. Is this old school air elementals? Yeah, they are. So they can't toss me around. With a vortex, since it doesn't exist yet. I'm gonna have to make sure I don't screw up with these elves. These old style elves. Because they look different, you know. So I have to make sure I'm fighting the ones I think I'm fighting. Oh yeah, I should have done this a while ago. LRD just makes this so trivial. Comparatively trivial, anyway. And I guess that's true even for an older version of the game. Hey, there's a scroll of blinking. We wanted that. And a wand of teleport. Sick. Really good. Let's eat some pizza. Make space for the scroll. You know, part of the reason for the petrify, and this is just occurring to me, I don't know if this was intended. You know, I don't know if it was like planned when they put the spell combo into the game, but you know, LRD and petrify was really nice together before because it was a way of guaranteeing the size of your explosion and the fact that the thing would not go away unless you managed to kill the dude. Sort of interesting that that is less good now, strictly because LRD was changed. I mean, it's like just as good as it was before, but like part of the nuance of why that combo exists is kind of lost, I guess. Sort of a shame. Do these elf archers even have repel missile in this version? I'm not sure. Okay, gonna have to stat form to deal with the animated weapons. Well, we're definitely tearing through this place at least. Book of Misfortune, okay. Let's drop some stuff. Behemoth's catalog of attacks, we don't need any of that stuff. I mean, in theory, Orb of Destruction would be nice, but we're kind of holding out for Iron Shot if we're going to be doing anything like that, you know. To be honest, we could probably irradiate to kill. Wow, this is... Bro, what am I doing? Let's teleport. Okay. We could probably irradiate to kill the animated weapons, if I really wanted to. And as you can see, we can LRD them as well. Okay, let's try to punch him to death while he's petrified. Yeah, that's Asterion dead. Okay. 54% chance to petrify just didn't want to work, so I think we tried like 4 times there and got nothing. That happens, you know. Ruined Blue Amulet. Amulet of Faith. Not useful on Gozag, sadly. I guess, and I had forgotten this, I guess that... Well, maybe my spell power is just not high enough. I was going to say, like, why can't I make a big explosion with the metal? And it's probable that I just don't have the spell power required to do it. Alright, buddy boy. That archer just didn't want to let me kill him. Okay. I'm going to ignore the hollow blades. I just don't really feel like doing them. Character's not going to get much out of it, so why bother, you know? It's curious. Must cast Lightning Spire. What was the chance of that? 2%? Okay, whatever. Let's just lure this guy into the middle. There's a lightning rod. an old style lightning rod. So it works the same way, except it uses the charges. So I just used it twice, taking the charges down to 7. Well, that's curious. Wonder why I took it down to 7. Maybe I'm remembering how the charges work wrongly. Yeah, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Probably not going to use it, but maybe. Well, you'll notice how the charges come back just from me waiting around. Oh, there's a magic portal. That's a whiz lab. Okay, let's not pick up scrolls of enchant weapon or enchant armor anymore. We've maxed out everything. This is a shop. I don't particularly care about this shop. Ooh, plus 12 rapier. Let's go into the Wiz Lab, and we've got ZongleDrock's Shrine. You know, if I felt like it, I could just like bust in. Oh god. Okay, I forgot that there's ancient champions and things. Sort of stopping me from doing that. So the theme of this Wiz Lab is you wait around and enemies show up. Various undead type things. And eventually, once you kill enough of them, a door shows up in this otherwise impenetrable area. It's kind of funny that the place that I blew a hole in ZongleDrock's house here, and then it turned into a door. This is a very glitchy Wiz Lab even today. So we might be able to bypass fighting the Lich entirely. Steal this stuff from the back. Because, let's see, Antique Lich. 90-20, Orb of Destruction. Crystal Spear for 3d48. This dude can actually one-shot us. So let's just take his loot and not fight him. How about that? Typically you gotta go through the front and then, you know, he shows up and it's a big hullabaloo. Whatever, man. We don't need to do all that. We'll just get this gold and, you know, I guess I could like look inside. See, there's his grave. And as soon as you walk by his grave, he shows up. ZongleDrock's gravestone. Engraved. ZongleDrock is engraved in golden letters. So we got his loot, you know, bypassing the tile that triggers him into waking up. And we just leave. You'll notice the elves all look a little bit different. I kind of wish we had emulate here. But you know what I will do is I'll go ahead and do a lamp of fire. How about that? It's pretty good. Intelligence. Could I possibly use my trusty... Oh god. Oh, that's not good. Technically this guy could do 120 damage to me. Well, not really. Because of the... Well, the animated weapon sort of stops him. Box of Beasts. Okay, this stuff is just to sort of cover my escape. Please don't make dudes around me. You're making dudes around me. That's okay though. We just dig out. You know what? I'm going to hit you with your own guys. There we go. And safely rest. Instantly we get another set of earth elementals from another one of these dudes. No problem. By the way, we don't want to take the hatch because it could lead into the Hall of Blades, so we'll exclude that off. Technically, that's a good reason to go ahead and do the Hall of Blades. Just the fact that there's a hatch up. And if I was being completely optimal about this, I would. God, this tile sucks. I can't believe, or I'm not surprised that they changed it. The old Blade Master. That's pretty bad. Good improvement, you know. Damn, remember when LRD was good? I mean, LRD is good now, just not as anything other than a straight damage spell, you know? I'd be doing largely the same stuff that I am now. It would just be more reliable, to be honest. I would say more like remember when LRD was fun, you know? Like, I feel, sometimes I have this distinct impression that the devs are at war with fun. Like, you saw that kick-ass trick I did. In Zongeldrock's Shrine. Better by nature of BVC not existing here. That's true. I've lured them into my crystal clubhouse. Notice how things are getting, like walls are getting erased? This was an interesting tactical thing you had to consider, which you no longer have to consider. Is that a Skype message? Oh yeah, it was. Oh, okay. Just one moment here. It's my a guy from one of the exchanges that I trade cryptocurrency on. I was doing some work with them. Earth Magic Grug. What's wrong with Earth Magic, man? Hope you guys enjoy that OG Skype sound. You know. All right, back to the game. Rock market, go boom boom. Yeah, no, Adort, that's a fair emoji, to be honest. For that particular combo of things. This is either a Scroll of Acquirement or a Scroll of Torment. I'm willing to roll the dice. It's Acquirement. Let's get gold. Badly need gold. Although I could have acquired food. We could have done that. I think I'd rather have gold. So we got 1,020. That's not bad. Ooh, Rod of Clouds. Do you remember? Do you remember when Rod of Clouds existed? I remember. It was one of the most fun things that ever existed in this entire game, and I am so happy. I'm so happy right now to be able to show you guys just how fun it was. No, not a Wand of Wishing. Wouldn't that be nice if that existed? Gonna play some NetHack for that, I believe. Did I drop all the crap? Alright, it's even a +6 wand of Rod of Clouds. Allow me to show you the beauty of the Rod of Clouds. Boom! It's just the same thing as the wand. It's the same thing as the wand, except you can use it as much as you want. You know, it's really, really cool. Probably a little bit overpowered, if I'm being honest. It's so much fun. So much fun. Like, I like the fact that you used to be able to... And yeah, Wesley, we probably will put some of this stuff right back into the game. I like the fact that you used to be able to play a character that was actually focused on evocations, you know? Like, imagine that. It's an Evo-focused character that used that as his bread and butter for killing things, you know? Rest in peace, Bacchellus. Well, Bacchellus was a little bit wonky. I kind of understand them never finding really a good place for him. I mean, he was fun, but it was really weird to play him. His core mechanic of blocking your mana from regenerating was just freaking weird. Let's remove Curse. I think I'd like to talk a little bit at some point about the remove Curse system and how it's sort of trivial and dumb in the middle of the game. To the extent that I would almost, I mean, unless you're playing... Well, it's wonky because like unless you're playing Ashen Zari, it has like no impact on the game anymore, except in the very, very early game. And if you're trying to use certain very peculiar items. Summer children don't know about specific monster chunks. That was a good remove, except for purple meat. The fact that they removed purple meat was just sad. Oh, we have Ice Blast. That I think I want as a damage wand. Ash feels like an entire god to justify the identification minigame. Don't know if I agree with that. Maybe. I feel like you could make a really satisfying rework of Ash and Zari that sort of decouples her from the curse and identify system. I mean, one idea I had for curse, to keep the scrolls relevant, by the way, in the end game, was to make every single cursed item behave like what do you call it? Behave like the what is that weapon called? The Obsidian Axe, where it recurses if you wear it again. Or maybe even make it behave like the Scythe of Curses, which just like randomly curses it again while you're wearing it. So as to create like an actual reason to have a billion remove curse scrolls by the end of the game. She has no need to be tied to curses. Yeah. I mean, the thing is that like you could remove curse from the game entirely for everybody who's not worshipping Ash and Zari, and then what you could do is you could put curses back into the game just for her, and then she just, like, it just sucks up piety to curse and uncurse things, you know? I mean, does that sound interesting? Sounds a little tedious, but I don't know. Seems nice. Okay, let's, God, inventory management was nasty back here, back in this version. There's D-Missile. Check it out. Let's... Well, first of all, let's kill this weapon. Let's drop this book. It's the Book of Death. Manual of Dodging. What's the point? Her abilities are good, but not so amazing that the curse penalty has to exist. Not sure if I agree with that. Ash and Zari is very underestimated. I think that if you made it so the curse penalty wasn't there, she would be... I mean, well, she wouldn't be as strong as like the truly, truly overpowered gods, but... Hey guys, let's play a game of is Fan of Gales crappy in this version? Yeah, it is. I wanted to see if it would make air elementals for me. And it did not. Alright, what can I drop? You know what, let's drop the Disc of Storms. It's kind of silly that I'm carrying that around as cool as it is. Play a dank god like Okawaru with 0 restriction other than you don't hit your allies. Compared Gozag's lack of chunk restriction to the cursed restriction. And Ash seems like a somewhat joke of a power curve. Yeah, I don't know if I disagree. That sounds sort of accurate to me. I just think that Ash is more powerful than people give her credit for. In terms of magic, it's a truly enormous spell power boost that you can get at a very early point in the game if you get enough remove curse. So I feel like you'd have to. I mean, I don't know. It would probably be okay to decouple it. You just might want to make her get a little less piety for quote-unquote being fully cursed if you were going to consider the person to be fully cursed all the time. And I also feel like Ash and Zari would feel a little more boring without the curse minigame. because it's like realistically you're not, it's just like a passive power god at that point. Although maybe I'm just, I'm a little biased because of the way that I play Ashen Zari, because I don't really use her scrying that much, even though I should, and I don't use the skill transference thing because it's sort of silly. Yeah, no, it's a fair point, Talus. On an overall difficulty, or wait, what am I doing? Amnesia. Okay. All right. Don't take me to that amnesia. That's in a bunch of clouds. Actually, you know what? Take me to that amnesia. We'll do that. I just want to turn off repel missiles, because we're going to memorize deflect missiles, which is better. And we're going to train up charms so that we're extra awesome. Okay. Okay. So what we have to do now is vaults, and then depths, and then Zot, and then we're done. But I think I'm probably going to be done with the stream for now, just because I'm getting kind of hungry and I've been at this for a while and I have some other stuff I need to work on. Let's get the character in position though. It's a strong character, but it feels like almost, well, it feels like a very different game than what I'm used to. Some good, some bad. You know. Perhaps more bad than good, unless you want to focus on the quality of life changes, which, to be fair, are just extremely important. But I've always said the quality of life changes should be focused on above all else. Ultimately, that's what makes this game playable. Okay, cool. Alright, so this is where we'll be. Next time we'll pick up that silver rune, and then we'll probably just go straight to do Zot. Again, the character feels like slightly weak, and I'm not 100% sure why, because I mean, we're actually very strong. Stat form and everything just lets us tab through a lot of stuff. We have good resistances, really the best. We have deflect missiles now. There's really no reason I should be thinking that this character is weak, and yet something seems off. And I think it's just kind of all the slightly different things from version to version that's just collecting up in my head, you know, and making me think something's going wrong. But in reality, it's not that bad. Also, we found this dodging manual, so we're about to have incredible EV. How are we on Spell Hunger? Still 4 pips for statue form, unless I have the Staff of Earth, or Staff of Energy. Really glad we found this Rod of Clouds. I might even spam recharge on it, to be honest. I could show you a really fun thing you used to be able to do on Vaults 5, which I guess technically you could still do if you had enough Cloud Wand power, but realistically you're not going to have, where you just like turn the whole area into like a Technicolor, you know, cloud explosion, basically. If you have enough evokes, it's a hell of a lot of fun. Especially on like an old style Kobold where your evocation zap was like +3, something like that. Speaking of which, I think we're going to turn evocations back on. Anyway, that's going to be it for the day. Thanks everybody for coming by. Thanks for the bits. For those of you who gave bits, I definitely appreciate it. and the subs from Elf as well. Bits from NV, subs from Elf. I think I'm not missing anybody. Yeah, next time we'll clear everything out. We'll win the game, and then we'll have another game in the Elliptic Streak, I guess. I don't know exactly what I'm playing next. I guess I'd have to look up Elliptic's massive streak in this bot. I think I have the window open on my other computer since Meme is being kind of slow. What is that? Oh wow, the bot's like completely frozen. Anyway, it's oh, there it is. TeCj, KoEE, blah 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 blah. Oh, another Vine Stalker. That'll be fun. Might do a non-caster Vine Stalker. Have a little fun with that. Anyway, that's about it. But until next time, I am signing out. Did you know that there are many ways that you can help support this channel? Read about them on rosecrypto.com/support. At Rose Crypto, you can learn all about cool things like the Brave web browser, Bitcoin, and other cryptocurrencies. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.